It's been revealed that Meghan Markle actually invited herself to this Paris Fashion Week show earlier this month.
Watch this.
Now, the Balenciaga designer has claimed that she reached out and she said she would love to come to the show. I mean, Andrew, reading this, it does not surprise me.
She had simply reached out saying she'd love to attend. That single sentence just destroyed everything. Because what Balenciaga's designer accidentally revealed wasn't just embarrassing, it exposed the biggest lie Meghan Markle's PR team has been desperately trying to sell.
Although it's always a delight, isn't it? Pierpaolo Piccioli is his name, the wonderful, amazing, alliterative designer. And basically he revealed, well, she wasn't really invited. He sort of asked if she could come, and come she did.
She wasn't invited. She asked, she texted, she begged for that seat. And if you watched our viral videos about Meghan getting brutally ignored by Dame Kristen Scott Thomas and rejected by her own friend Marcus Anderson at this same show, you already know something was off. Now we know why. The entire time she was sitting there getting snubbed, everyone in that room knew the truth. She wasn't supposed to be there. What's up, GossipSlice fam? If you've been following our Meghan Markle Balenciaga series, you know we've already exposed two of the most brutal celebrity snubs in history. But this video reveals why those snubs happened in the first place. Before we get into this absolute mess, smash that like button right now, because what I'm about to expose will make you rewatch those other videos with completely different eyes. So here's what we thought happened. Meghan Markle gets personally invited to Paris Fashion Week by Balenciaga. She shows up looking flawless. But then, Dame Kristen Scott Thomas ice cold ignores her, and her own friend Marcus Anderson won't even look at her when she laughs. We thought she was just getting snubbed because people don't like her. Turns out it's so much worse than that. Because Balenciaga's designer just accidentally revealed in an interview that Meghan wasn't invited at all. She reached out. She asked to come. She lobbied for that seat like someone desperate to stay relevant. And everyone at that show, they knew. That's why the snubs were so brutal. Hit subscribe before this video ends because the tea we're about to spill gets darker. Let's rewind to Paris Fashion Week. When those first photos dropped of Meghan at Balenciaga, her PR machine went into overdrive. The narrative was crystal clear. Meghan Markle, fashion icon, personally requested by Balenciaga to grace their show with her presence. Fashion houses are fighting to have her. Front row seat, photographers everywhere. The outfit was immaculate. White, elegant, expensive. Every single detail was calculated to scream one message: I'm in demand. I belong here. I'm still that girl. And for a hot second, it almost worked. The photos looked legitimate. She looked like she fit in with the actual A-listers and fashion royalty. But then, the designer opened his mouth, and the entire illusion came crashing down in the most humiliating way possible.
It's so cringe to watch, isn't it?
Very.
So awkward.
Now, before we get to the designer's slip, we need to talk about why Meghan being at Balenciaga was already raising massive red flags. Because Balenciaga wasn't just any fashion show. This brand had just survived one of the most disgusting scandals in fashion history. Their ad campaign featured disturbing content involving children that sparked global outrage. Celebrities were running from this brand. People were burning their Balenciaga bags. The entire fashion world was condemning them. So, when Meghan Markle, who literally built her image on protecting children, who's about to receive awards for child safety advocacy, shows up front row at their comeback show, the internet exploded.
The problem for Meghan in going to a show, even if there is a new creative director she's very, pally with, is that one of her brands is protecting children in the online space. So how do you front up at a fashion show dressed all in white, irony noted, the international colour of innocence? How do you turn up to that show knowing that the brand has this terrible history in the way they've portrayed children with adult themes? And so the Duchess of Hypocrisy, I think is a pretty valid label to attach here.
Critics called her the Duchess of Hypocrisy. Because how do you claim to protect kids and then publicly support the brand that did that? Her team scrambled to control the damage, but they had no idea the designer was about to make it 1,000 times worse. Here's where it all falls apart. Balenciaga's creative director Pierpaolo Piccioli sits down for an interview after the show. A reporter asks him about Meghan's appearance. He answers super casually, like it's no big deal. They'd known each other for years, and she had reached out saying she'd love to attend. Just friendly, No big strategy, just Meghan texting to say she wanted to come. Wait, what? Watch his exact words again. She had simply reached out. To anyone who doesn't understand how celebrity status works, that sounds innocent, sweet even, old friends supporting each other. But to anyone in fashion, Hollywood, or elite circles, that sentence was a nuclear bomb. Because what he just said, without even realizing it, was Meghan asked for the invitation. We didn't invite her. She reached out to us. The entire illusion shattered in 5 words. Let me break down why this matters so much, because this is about more than just fashion show etiquette. This is about the brutal reality of celebrity power. In elite circles, there's a hierarchy that's absolutely savage. Royals and A-listers, brands beg them to attend. They send personal invitations, private jets, designer gifts. They pray these people show up because their presence validates the entire event. B-listers and influencers, there's negotiation. Agents work deals. Maybe the brand covers travel, maybe there's a payment involved. It's transactional, but at least it's a two-way conversation. But people who have to text designers and ask for seats, that's desperation territory. That's, please let me sit at your table. That's hustler energy, not A-list energy. Meghan's entire PR strategy was built on making everyone believe she was in that first category, that Balenciaga was honored to have her, that her presence was a gift they couldn't refuse. But the designer's casual honesty ripped that story to shreds, because now everyone knows Meghan reached out. Meghan asked, Meghan lobbied for that seat, and suddenly all those snubs make perfect sense. Now go back and watch our previous videos about Dame Kristen Scott Thomas ice-cold ignoring Meghan, and Marcus Anderson refusing to even look at her when she laughed. At the time, we thought those snubs were just about personal dislike or social awkwardness. But now we know the real reason. They knew Meghan had invited herself. They knew she wasn't supposed to be there. They knew she was desperately clinging to relevance by begging for a seat at a show for a scandal-plagued brand. Dame Kristen Scott Thomas is European fashion royalty. She gets invited to everything. She doesn't have to ask for anything. So when she sees someone who had to text their way into a seat, that's beneath her acknowledgement. And Marcus Anderson, he works for Soho House. His entire career depends on understanding social hierarchies and protecting his reputation. Being seen enthusiastically engaging with someone who invited themselves would damage his credibility. So they both made the same calculated decision. Pretend she's not there. Don't engage. Don't validate. Send a message that she doesn't belong. And it gets even worse. Here's what makes this devastating. The designer's slip didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened right after Meghan and Harry's Spotify deal imploded in the most public, humiliating way possible. A Spotify executive literally called them grifters on a podcast. That word, grifters, stuck to them like poison. It painted them as people who overpromise, underdeliver, and take massive deals they can't execute. Netflix projects were shaky. Every partnership was crumbling. Their entire brand was starting to look less like Hollywood power couple and more like desperate hustlers trying to stay relevant. So when Meghan showed up at Balenciaga, her team needed this to be a redemption moment. They needed headlines screaming, Meghan Markle is still a fashion force. They needed proof she was still in demand. Instead, the designer accidentally revealed she had to beg for the seat. Just another crack in an already shattered image, and the internet about to go savage. Within hours of the designer's interview dropping, social media exploded. TikTok was ruthless. People were making videos breaking down exactly what reached out meant in fashion world code. Body language experts were reanalyzing Meghan's entire Balenciaga appearance with this new context. The comments were savage. So she crashed a show for a brand that exploited children and then got ignored by everyone? Yikes. Dame Kristen knew Meghan invited herself. That's why the snub was so brutal. You don't acknowledge crashers. Even her own friend Marcus wouldn't look at her because he knew she begged for that seat. The secondhand embarrassment is real. Fashion insiders started weighing in too. They explained that inviting yourself to a show, especially a controversial one like Balenciaga, is basically social suicide in that world. Because it exposes two things. You're desperate for relevance, and you have such bad judgment that you'll align yourself with any brand just to stay visible. And the comparisons to Kate Middleton? Brutal. Here's the brutal truth Meghan's learning the hard way. Royal status doesn't automatically translate to Hollywood power. While Kate Middleton was in the UK getting praised as the perfect princess, invitations flooding to her, Meghan was in Paris texting designers begging for seats. That's the difference. Kate doesn't have to compete. She doesn't have to ask. Invitations come to her because she's actual royalty with actual power. When Meghan and Harry moved to California, they expected A-list access. Oprah, the Clooneys, Spielberg. Instead, awkward encounters, unanswered invitations, polite distance from the actual inner circle. In the palace, Meghan's presence was required. In Hollywood, every seat has to be negotiated. Every appearance has to be earned, and Meghan just got caught having to beg. Under normal circumstances, Meghan's team would have spun Balenciaga flawlessly. Carefully placed articles in Vogue about her creative bond with Pierpaolo, curated photos showing effortless elegance, but the designer didn't play the PR game. He just answered honestly, casually, and accidentally yanked back the curtain on the entire machinery of celebrity image-making. We saw the hustle, the texting, the asking, the constant fight to stay visible, stay relevant, stay in the room. And once you see behind that curtain, you can't unsee it. Every future Meghan appearance will be questioned. Did she invite herself to this too? And this is why American Riviera Orchard makes sense now. This isn't just a lifestyle brand. This is Meghan's escape plan from the humiliation cycle. If she can't get automatic fashion invites, if Hollywood won't embrace her, then she needs to build something she controls completely. No executives calling her a grifter, no designers accidentally exposing her hustle, no begging for seats. She's trying to become the next Martha Stewart, a power that doesn't depend on invitations, but is built from the ground up. Whether it works? That's the billion-dollar question. So here's what actually happened at Balenciaga, and why those snubs were so brutal. Meghan Markle texted a designer begging for a seat at Paris Fashion Week. She showed up at a scandal-plagued brand trying to prove she still mattered in fashion circles. Dame Kristen Scott Thomas saw someone who invited themselves and decided they weren't worth acknowledging. Marcus Anderson knew Meghan had begged for that seat and chose to protect his own reputation by staying distant. And then the designer, in one casual interview, exposed the entire thing. This wasn't just an awkward reveal. This was confirmation of what everyone suspected. Meghan Markle is hustling for relevance. She's texting for seats. She's forcing her way into rooms that don't want her. You can buy designer clothes. You can hire the best PR team. You can show up to every event looking flawless, but you can't buy genuine acceptance from people who see through your desperation. And when even a friendly designer accidentally exposes you're not actually invited, that's not just embarrassing, that's your entire strategy falling apart in real time, captured on camera, broadcast to millions. So GossipSlice fam, Meghan Markle didn't just get snubbed at Balenciaga, she got exposed. The designer accidentally revealed she invited herself, and suddenly all those brutal moments make perfect sense. Drop a skull emoji in the comments if finding out Meghan begged for that seat made the snubs even more brutal, and drop a grimacing face emoji if you're cringing at the secondhand embarrassment. Real talk. If you were a designer, would you let Meghan crash your show? Or would you accidentally expose her like Pierpaolo did? Like this video right now and subscribe to GossipSlice because we just connected all the dots from our Balenciaga series. Part 1 showed Kristen ignoring her. Part 2 showed Marcus rejecting her. And Part 3 just revealed why. Because everyone knew she wasn't supposed to be there. If you missed parts 1 and 2, go watch them now because they hit different when you know Meghan invited herself. Links in the description. This is GossipSlice, where we serve the truth one slice at a time. And the truth is that Meghan Markle's Paris Fashion Week wasn't just unsuccessful, it was a public demonstration that when you have to beg for relevance, even your friends won't save you from the humiliation. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Well, I'm sure it's not going to be the last time she'll be inviting herself to glamorous events.